Today we're talking about the Python client. I have a couple slides here. First, just to give you the context of AllegroGraph, and these are general, and then we'll get into the actual demo. So AllegroGraph is Franz's RDF store. It's scalable and persistent, which means that the goal here is to have something that's really industrial quality, and just like databases can scale and be robust and be used with very high reliability, that's the same goal here for the Franz RDF store. Also, it's federated, and this is something not related to our demo, but you can run the store on multiple machines, not just one, in particular the Amazon Compute Cloud. And it's being designed so that when you go federated, it's transparent, so that you can treat it as if it's just a single extremely large store. There are more than one kind of way of accessing language-wise. Sparkle is the language that most people use. You can also use Prolog, and then there are other reasoners that can be run against it. And Franz is very dedicated to standards, so RDF, RDFS, OWL, Sparkle, all the different standards that are related to RDF stores are supported by Franz. There are some advanced features in the product. So besides very high performance and very large stores, Franz is also working at extending what you can do. So there's many different data types that you can do range queries on. What we discovered early when using Allegro Store is people immediately started doing inequality reasoning, even though that wasn't something that is considered a strong point, and so it's become a strong point in the Franz product. Spatial reasoning, there's special primitives for that, also for temporal reasoning. Those aren't actually in the Python product yet. We still have a little more work to do there, but you can be sure they're coming, and they're already in the primary product. Finally, social network analysis is another place where there's an extension to what you would get in a sort of a more vanilla product. There's many different ways to interface, so that there's a server, and you can access it from Java, you can access it from Python. There's also a C# interface. And within the Java world, there's actually a couple different interfaces. There's the Sesame one, which is, there's OpenRDF is a, actually there's OpenRDF, which is a open source working group, and then there's Aduna, which is a commercial company that's backing OpenRDF. And that's the Sesame product. And then there's Jenna, which is a much older interface, but there's still a lot of people out there that use that. The Python that we're going to be showing you today is modeled after Sesame. So rather than invent things from scratch, we chose to take something that's out there that's already being used by a rather large number of people. And they are all using it with the Java API. We're mimicking that syntax in Python, and so I'll be showing you that. And then there is a REST interface, meaning you can just go through a straight HTTP and talk to AllegroGraph, and that's a very, very small client, and that means you could be pretty much any language at all. So right now, if you're in Ruby, that would be the easiest way to talk to AllegroGraph, is to go through HTTP. The interface I'm going to be showing you actually is, it's a full-blown API, but it's talking through the HTTP as well. So everything you're doing squeezes down into a much smaller interface to actually get the work done. Let's see, I now want to switch to Eclipse. So what I'm going to be doing is demoing in Eclipse, and I don't know how many of you are used to it. So I've set up the windows for a way that seems pretty good for demoing here. There's one thing I cannot do in Eclipse, at least I don't know how. In Emacs, you can have two windows open on the same buffer, and I don't know how to do that in Eclipse. So I'm evaluating out of a buffer, and here you can see that what this is a Python program, and it has test 0, 1, all the way down. And then the way Python works is there is a main section, and when you evaluate the file, then it runs the main. So I'm going to be doing that. However, I want to be in two places at once. I want to be able to show you what tests we're looking at, and also I want to be at the bottom picking which test I'm actually running, and I can't be in two places at once on the same file exactly. So I have two files here. There's the tutorial examples file, and then there's a copy. And when I edit the tutorial one, like I stick a 1 here, and then execute, I'm going to be executing that file. But I'm going to be looking at a separate copy of the file just so that I can be, as I said, in two places at once. So what we're going to do is we want to evaluate test number 1. And when I say execute, it's going to be running that particular one. However, first let's just talk about, I want to go line by line and say what's actually happening here. Okay, so what we are doing, we're running in Python. I've already got a server running. So before any of the Python, I executed an application. There's an AllegroGraph HTTP server which is running, and that's what I want to talk to. It's running on my laptop, so I'm going to be using localhost, and it's serving port 8080. So I want to talk to localhost port 8080. And that's what this first line does for me. And so when you're running your own Python applications, you'll do the same thing. You'll get an object back of the class AllegroGraph server, and that will establish an HTTP connection to the other server running. Okay, the first thing I did was I wanted to print available catalogs, and let me switch slightly just to give you an idea of what's actually happening there. Try this, let's see. So here, if I go to look in /temp, I have inside of /temp, there's a directory called AG, and that's where I'm putting some triple stores. And let's just do a list, and we can see AGraph test, AGraph test 2, AGraph test 3. These are just places I'm messing around, but those are different triple stores. Okay, so when I say catalog, list available catalogs, and let's actually run this. It says available catalogs AG. So when I first started the server, I pointed it at /temp/AG. I said that's a catalog out there that contains some triple stores, and that's what I want you to serve up. I could have actually listed several, not just one. But at this point, the server is looking at one. So I can see AG, and that contains one or more triple stores. Now, the word repository is the preferred term if you're talking in Sesame vocabulary, and that's what we are doing here. So instead of calling them triple stores, we're calling repositories. We first opened the catalog to AG, and then we said print available repositories in that catalog, and it's going to print out, and we can see on the right side the output. And it says test 3, test 3.4, test 4. What it's doing is listing the triple stores that it's found inside of that particular directory location.